EIA. What is EIA? EIA is a study to evaluate, predict, communicate information about the information of development impacts on future projects to detail out the mitigating measures prior to project approval and implementation. It has been acknowledged as a useful tool that incorporates environmental factors in making decisions for new development. EIA has been mandatory for particular projects since April 1st, 1988.
Why EIA is required? EIA is essentially a planning mechanism for preventing environmental problems. Due to an action, it ensures that the potential problems are foreseen and addressed at an early stage in the project planning and design. This will avoid costly mistakes in project implementation, either because of the environmental damage that are likely to arise during project implementation, or because of modification that may be required subsequently in order to make the action environmentally acceptable. EIA, when integrated into the existing planning and decision-making structure, provide additional information towards a better decision-making. Objective of EIA is ensuring environmental factors are considered in the decision-making process. Second is ensuring that possible adverse environmental impacts are identified and avoid or minimized. And the last one is informing the public about the proposal.
The EIA process in Malaysia is designed to follow the integrated project planning concept. The features of the concept include the following. First, at the onset, during the project identification stage, the need to conduct an EIA study is determined. At this stage, the project proponent has to confirm that the project concept is in line with any development plans, policies, and decisions of the Government of Malaysia prior to EIA study. Second is, if the project requires EIA, screening of project option in respect of alternative site and process or design variants with the aim of selecting the optimum site and design concept based on economic, engineering, social and environmental criteria is done in parallel with the pre-feasibility study for the project. The scoping exercise, which could also be conducted in parallel with the site selection and project option assessment or immediately thereafter, usually during pre-feasibility, determine the level and scope of EIA studies required. The EIA studies covering detailed identification of potential impact, baseline survey and data gathering, prediction and assessment. The EIA study covering detailed identification of potential impact, baseline surveys and data gathering, prediction and evaluation of impact including, if appropriate, risk assessment, mitigation and abatement of impact and environmental monitoring and auditing requirement. The EIA report is reviewed simultaneously with the pre-feasibility and feasibility report, respectively. Before a final decision on the project is made, review and decision on approval of the EIA by DOE, followed by issue and approval condition, requirement for future studies or rejection of the EIA. Detailed design of mitigation measure and preparation of environmental management planning (EMT), which refine the recommendation on mitigation and environmental monitoring and audit in the EIA, into an effective environmental projection strategy that demonstrates compliance to the terms of the EIA approval. During the project construction, the mitigating measure and EMP for construction must be implemented. Through project operation, the environmental monitoring and auditing are carried out to ensure effectiveness of the mitigation measure. This concept is recommended to be followed to minimize project delay and improve project planning. EIA studies undertaken late in a project cycle do not assist in the project planning.
Hello, Miss. Can you explain about the legal requirement of EIA?
Okay, the legal requirement of EIA is the regulation that is related to the prevention, abatement, control of prevention, pollution and enhancement of the environment in Malaysia is the Environmental Quality Act 1974. And to that 38 sets of regulations and orders have been introduced and enforced. The list of regulations and orders enforced under the Environmental Quality Act 1974 by the Department of Environment is Mr. Can you explain to me how to conduct EIA procedure?
Okay. For your information, in Malaysia there are 3 types of steps in the EIA procedure which can be conducted to the EIA. Firstly is a preliminary assessment, second detailed assessment, and lastly is review. So, in preliminary assessment, preliminary provide the level of EIA procedure that are usually initiated at the feasibility study stage for the development of an activity. That is, project options are identified at this stage and significant environment impact are known. Secondly is a detailed assessment, where the implement for the project, where the impact of significant environment impact has been predicted in the initial assessment. The assessment should proceed smoothly as the project is executed and detailed EIA report submit for approval by the Director General of Environment Quality before granting approval by the relevant federal or state government for the implementation of the project. So lastly, the EIA conduct by the review, which is EIA report, are conducted internally by the DOE for preliminary assessment report and by ad hoc review panel for the detailed assessment report. The usual time allocated for review of the initial assessment report is 1 month, while that for the detailed report in 2 months. Thank you.
Thank you. I have some of your time.
Okay, go on.
Can I ask you, what is environmental impact of town planning?
Okay, let me explain to you, okay? Environmental impact of town planning can be classified into 2, which are reforestation and climate change. First of all, I will explain to you about the deforestation. Nation is witnessing a rapid growth in the vicinity of urban cities with the construction of large engineering structures, widespread bridges and highways. This action will require the expertise like town planner in a way to avoid these problems or reduce this But besides that, it can have a negative impact on the environment. The most dramatic impact is a loss of habitat for millions of species. In addition, the Act 172 which I noticed that you have learned, has listed any of developments involved forest or green area need the permission from the authority. Okay, the next category is about the climate change. A change in global or regional climate patterns, in particular, a change occurs from the mid to late 23rd century onwards and attributed largely to the increased levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide produced by the use of the fossil. Other than that, it is the most important environmental challenge we face today. In addition, climate change can be divided into two types, which are water excess and water shortage. Okay, the next one is about impact of climate change can be seen on river flows, which change in water quality and water shortage. Hence, I want to highlight that town planning play an important role in the matter that involves the environment and people. Less environmental impact development is the best choices of places to live for people nowadays.
Sir,
Yes.
can I ask you one question? What do you mean by mitigation of EIA?
Mitigation of EIA. Mitigation of EIA step is a careful and detailed planning method and the preparations of a project. This carries a reduce the environment's impact to development. So the effects and the phenomena that occur due to the physical development are different. This creates a variety and environment problems such as the forestry, erosion and pollution, water pollution, and island health phenomena and so on. So the mitigation of EIA consists by three. First, strategic management practice (SMP), education,